What's up, baseball fans? So with the draft officially complete, I wanted to go over my winners and my losers. So let's waste no time. Let's get to the losers first. My first loser are the Houston Astros. The Astros are more here by default, to be honest, mainly because they lost both their first round and second round picks for the sign stealing scandal. They were able to grab a couple of guys that have some upside, one being the 56th ranked Alex Santos with the 72nd pick, and Ty Brown out of Vanderbilt, who has high spin rates, but he projects to be more of a reliever. On top of that, they drafted a couple other guys, Zach Daniels and Shea Whitcomb, and neither are ranked. In the end, though, there wasn't much the Astros could do considering they lost their top two picks, but hey, they made their own bed. My next loser on this list are the San Francisco Giants. I'm not necessarily hating on the Giants here, I'm just a bit confused with their draft strategy. The Giants are in the midst of a rebuild, so I figured they would go for a lot of upside guys like Mick Abel, Nick Bitsko, or even a Garrett Mitchell. Their first pick ended up being Patrick Bailey, and don't get me wrong, I love Patrick Bailey. He has some of the best defensive tools of any catcher in this draft, and he's a switch hitter with power, but they have a high-ranking catcher already in Joey Bart. There's no question Bailey will be a catcher because of the skills he possesses already, so I'm not sure where he fits exactly. They also took Casey Schmidt out of San Diego State with the 49th pick, but he ranks 117 on MLB Pipeline. I didn't mind them picking Nick Swiney with the 67th pick because I actually think he was a bit underrated heading into this draft because he has a fastball that has good vertical movement along with a really good changeup. But on the very next pick at 68, they took a huge reach picking shortstop Jimmy Glaunke, who ranked 171st. They did snag the 63rd ranked Kyle Harrison with the 85th pick, but with the last pick, they took Ryan Murphy, who wasn't even ranked. Overall, it was just an interesting draft, and I think they could have gone for a lot more upside considering they are in a rebuild. And my last loser on this list are the Texas Rangers. The Rangers had an interesting draft, but not in a good way. Their first pick, Justin Foscue, who I do like, and I think he has the offensive ability to be a good player in the majors, was a bit of a reach considering there were other really talented players that they passed on. However, I'm okay with it because there weren't really any other college level infielders they probably could have gotten in the second round. Their pick of high school outfielder in the second round, Evan Carter, wasn't even ranked, and they reached significantly on the next two picks, and their fifth round pick wasn't even ranked. Overall, as of right now, the Rangers did the worst in this draft. So with the bad stuff out of the way, let's get to the good. Here are my winners. My first winners on this list are the Kansas City Royals. The Royals are one of the teams in this draft that had someone fall to them that wasn't expected to, and that was Asa Lacy. Lacy was considered the best pitcher in this draft, and while many considered Max Meyer to have more upside, Lacy could end up having the most solid career. With the Royals already having a lot of pitching prospects in their farm system, adding Lacy only strengthens that. They also picked shortstop Nick Lofton out of Baylor with their compensation pick, and I'm a huge fan of that. Nick Lofton is a very underrated player in this draft class, already possessing a high floor thanks to his solid play at short, along with being able to play all over the infield, his ability to make consistent contact at the plate, and simply just having good instincts. However, towards the end of last season with Baylor, he started to tap into some power, and if he can keep that going at the next level, Lofton can end up being a really solid player and possibly even an everyday second baseman to go alongside Bobby Witt Jr. at short. They also added to their riches of pitching by selecting three more pitchers, along with outfielder Tyler Gentry out of Alabama. Overall, a solid draft for the Royals. Next up, I have the Colorado Rockies. Not many people thought Zach Veen would fall past the Padres, but he did, and this could end up being the best pick of the draft. Zach Veen has arguably the best swing in this draft with potential for a lot of power, and combined with Coors Field where the ball travels extra, this could be an insane pairing. Not only did they get Veen, but they picked catcher Drew Romo out of the Woodlands High School, which has produced some good players like Paul Goldschmidt, Kyle Drabek, and Jamison Teon. At 18, he's already a very advanced catcher with good instincts, a good baseball IQ, leadership abilities, and while the bat is still progressing, he's a switch hitter that has upside. They also picked 29th ranked Chris Mcmahon, a pitcher out of Miami, with the 46th pick, and many people were saying that he could go in the first round. The Rockies needed pitching in their system, and with a guy that has a mid-90s fastball, decent off-speed stuff, and athleticism, McMahon could be a steal for the Rockies. They also grabbed pitchers Sam Weatherly, Millerly out of Clemson and Casey Williams out of high school, along with shortstop Jack Blomgren out of Michigan. Overall, a very good draft for the Rockies. The next winners on my list are the Detroit Tigers. Simply put, when you take a guy like Spencer Torkelson, who could be one of the best overall hitters in the league for the next decade, you're most likely going to be a winner. However, while I love the Torkelson pick, I almost love their next pick even more, picking catcher Dylan Dinkler, who ranked 24th on MLB Pipeline, and they got him with the 38th pick. He was originally a center fielder at Ohio State before becoming a catcher, and he already possesses an above-average arm and blocking from the position. He's also improving each year with the bat. They also picked the 38th ranked Danny Cabrera out of LSU with the 62nd pick. He's a solid hitter with a smooth swing from the left side, has raw power, doesn't strike out much, and has a good arm. They also grabbed the 73rd ranked Gage Workman, a third baseman from Arizona State, with the 102nd pick. He's a 6'4" switch hitter that's athletic and has a lot of raw power. Overall, a great draft that the Tigers needed. Next up, I have the St. Louis Cardinals. I may be a bit biased here because the Cardinals picked two of my favorite prospects in this draft, high schoolers Jordan Walker and Mason Wynn, but these two guys have a ton of potential. Jordan Walker is a modern-day Jermaine Dye who projects to be a really good hitter with a ton of power, and Mason Wynn might be pound for pound the most talented player in this draft. He excels both on the mound with a fastball in the upper 90s and a good curveball with high spin rates. He has raw power and plays a decent shortstop. They also snagged a few other pitchers and a couple outfielders, but overall, the Cardinals picked a lot of potential in this draft. Next up, I have the Pittsburgh Pirates. Starting off with Nick Gonzalez, who should be a really good offensive second baseman, and then having a solid pitcher out of South Carolina in Carmen Mazinski falling to them at 31, and then selecting two-way player Jared Jones, who has a ton of upside with the 44th pick. They also got MLB Pipeline's 70th ranked Nick Garcia, who was the 79th pick out of Division III Chapman University. He's a very underrated pitcher in this draft because he has great stuff, but he fell a bit because he hasn't faced the best competition out there. Overall, I really enjoyed the Pirates draft this year. And the top winners of my list are the Toronto Blue Jays. Heading into this draft, there was no one saying that Austin Martin would fall past the Orioles, and there was no way that he would fall past the Marlins at number 3, but he fell to the Blue Jays at number 5. All I have to say is, can you imagine a lineup that includes Austin Martin, Bo Bichette, Vlad Jr., and Cavan Biggio in a few years? Absolutely insane. Other than Martin, they snagged pitcher CJ Van Eyck at 42, and he could have been a top 20 pick in this draft had it not been for some control issues at Florida State, along with a history of some arm troubles, but he has great stuff. They did grab a couple other college pitchers along with an unranked outfielder. The Blue Jays easily had one of the best drafts this year. So those are my winners and losers in this draft. Tell me down below in the comments, who do you think were some winners? Who do you think were some losers? Tell me down below. And also, before I get out of here, don't forget to subscribe down below so you don't miss any future baseball content. That's all I got for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.